Soft music rises, gentle like a breeze through ancient olive trees. A voice speaks, calm and steady, guiding you into a forgotten time. This is a tale of light, of wisdom, of a flame that does not burn. They called it the eternal Owl Flame of Athena. It was not fire as we know it, but a glow born of clarity and truth. Legends whispered that it was guarded by the sacred owl of the goddess. Those who sought it did not seek power, but the courage to see clearly. They came from distant lands, drawn by the promise of silent guidance. Some believed it a myth, a story to comfort wandering souls. Yet others felt its call, soft but insistent, deep within their hearts. It was said the flame flickered only for those who listened inward, for those who understood that wisdom cannot be taken by force. The owl was the guardian, the watcher of hidden paths. Its wings carried the silence of the night, its eyes held gentle fire. And within that gaze, the truth of ages shimmered like starlight. Tonight, we follow one such journey, a search for more than answers, a path across forests, rivers, and questions older than time itself. Stay with me, and let us walk together into the story of the eternal Owl Flame of Athena. The city of Elea was quiet, resting under the warm light of a fading sun. Its stone streets whispered with the footsteps of countless generations. Among the rooftops, the air carried echoes of ancient stories long preserved. One story spoke of a flame unlike any other, hidden from ordinary sight. This flame was said to glow with the wisdom of Athena, bright and unending. The people called it the eternal Owl Flame, a beacon of clarity and truth. But the flame was not meant for kings, nor for warriors with sharp swords. It was meant for seekers, for hearts open enough to carry its gentle light. And so, across centuries, many dreamed of finding it, though few truly tried. In the city's quiet market, an old storyteller passed this tale to a child. The child's eyes widened, not with fear, but with a calm, shining wonder. He told of a pilgrim, young and curious, drawn not by wealth, but by hope. This pilgrim listened more than they spoke and watched more than they moved. They longed to see the truth behind the whispers, to know if the flame lived. At night, when stars filled the sky, they would sit beneath olive trees. There they wondered what it would mean to carry wisdom instead of fire. Would it be heavy like stone, or light like a breath of wind at dawn? The child in the market asked the same, and the storyteller only smiled. Wisdom, he said softly, does not weigh on those who honor it with care. The pilgrim decided one morning that stories were no longer enough. They would follow the path beyond the walls, into fields kissed by dew. Each step carried not ambition, but a simple question that burned quietly. Could it be true that somewhere, in the silence of earth and sky, a flame waited? The road stretched wide, and the world grew larger with every passing mile. Villages greeted the pilgrim with kind faces, yet none spoke of the flame. Still, the tale lingered in the breeze, like a promise woven into the land. In the evenings, the pilgrim lit no fire, but watched the heavens instead. The stars, scattered like grains of silver, felt like guides pointing forward. Some nights, an owl's call echoed softly, deep and calm in the distance. The sound lingered, as if inviting the pilgrim to listen more deeply. It was not a command, not even a warning, but a presence to be noticed. And with each call, the pilgrim's heart grew steadier, more attuned to stillness. They realized the journey was not toward a place, but into a way of seeing. The eternal owl flame might not be found in stone temples or hidden caves. It might dwell instead in the quiet courage of those who seek without fear. The pilgrim continued, steps slow, eyes open, carrying no map but trust. Every breath felt like part of a larger rhythm, older than any city. And though the flame was still unseen, its whisper had already begun. The journey into the mystery of Athena's light had finally awakened. The pilgrim awoke with the first light, their hearts steady, their steps already chosen. The city of Elea was behind them now, quiet, fading like a dream at dawn. Ahead stretched the open road, long and winding, bordered by olive trees. Birdsong drifted through the air, carrying notes that felt like gentle encouragement. Each step was slow, yet certain, as if guided by an unseen rhythm of time. The pilgrim carried little, only a satchel, a flask, and an unshakable question. Stories had always lived in their ears, but now the story lived in their feet. The market tale of the eternal owl flame still warmed them like a hidden fire. They remembered the storyteller's eyes, bright as though touched by moonlight. "Seek with patience," the old man had whispered, "and listen more than you walk." So the pilgrim listened, to the breeze, to the rustle of leaves, to their own breath. The road soon led past villages, where life was slow, kind, and unhurried. Children laughed in courtyards, elders greeted travelers with nods and smiles. Yet none spoke of the flame, though many knew of Athena and her sacred owl. Some said the flame was a myth, a comfort told to ease restless souls. Others said it was hidden deep in groves where no road dared to wander. But the pilgrim carried no doubt, only a steady trust that silence held answers. At dusk, they rested by a river, the water calm, reflecting the rising moon. The surface shimmered with silver, like threads woven by an unseen hand. As they watched, the call of an owl rose from the distance, soft and deep. The sound lingered long after it faded, echoing inside the pilgrim's chest. It was neither command nor warning, but an invitation to remain aware. They closed their eyes, letting the sound guide them to a stillness within. That night, the pilgrim dreamed of walking through a forest of mirrors. Each mirror reflected not their face, but moments of kindness and patience. They awoke with the sense that the journey had already begun to transform them. The flame was not a treasure to seize, but a path that reshaped the seeker. Morning came with golden light, spilling across fields like blessings of the gods. The pilgrim rose, renewed, carrying no fear of the unknown ahead. Each village, each tree, each stone in the road felt like part of a lesson. The call of the owl returned again, this time closer, gentler, almost familiar. It was as though Athena's guardian watched from the edge of shadow and light. The pilgrim did not chase the sound, but walked in calm trust toward its echo. By evening, they reached a grove where silence seemed deeper, more profound. The air was cool, scented with earth and olive leaves, ancient and alive. Something unseen stirred in the heart of the grove, a quiet presence waiting. The pilgrim felt no fear, only reverence, as though stepping onto sacred ground. The journey toward the eternal owl flame had taken its first true turn. The forest rose like a quiet cathedral, its branches weaving arches of shadow and light. The pilgrim stepped beneath its canopy, feeling the air grow cool and heavy with memory. Every tree seemed older than stone, their trunks carved with lines like ancient words. The silence was not empty, but full, carrying whispers softer than the wind itself. This was the forest of reflections, a place spoken of only in hushed tones. It was said the forest did not show the path with markers or signs. Instead, it revealed the hidden voices of those who entered its stillness. The pilgrim paused, listening, their breath mingling with the hush of leaves. Then it came. A faint murmur, not from outside, but from within. It was their own voice, echoing back thoughts once buried and forgotten. "I am not ready," it said, carrying both doubt and longing. The pilgrim closed their eyes, realizing the forest was a mirror of the soul. Each step forward drew out another whisper, some gentle, some sharp. "You seek wisdom, but do you carry patience?" One voice questioned. "Your journey is long, yet your heart beats with restless haste," another whispered. The pilgrim walked slowly, listening, not resisting the words that returned. Some were truths they feared, others were hopes they had never spoken. The trees stood tall, their roots deep, as if listening with ancient patience. The forest offered no answers, only reflections of what already lived inside. By midday, shafts of light broke through, painting golden circles on the ground. In one of those circles, the pilgrim sat, letting the whispers rise and fade. For the first time, they did not chase silence, nor flee from noise. They simply listened, hearing themselves as clearly as they had never before. It was then that a soft flutter of wings stirred the air above. An owl landed on a branch, its gaze calm, its presence steady. Its eyes glowed faintly, not with fire, but with quiet knowing. The pilgrim bowed their head, sensing the guardian was not there to speak. It was there to watch, to hold space, to remind them of stillness. The owl blinked once, slow and deliberate, then turned toward the deeper woods. The pilgrim understood without words. The path was to follow inward, not outward. They rose, steps lighter, as if carrying less weight than before. The voices continued, but now they were softer, no longer burdens, only truths. By evening, the forest opened slightly, revealing a clearing bathed in moonlight. The owl was gone, but its presence lingered in the hush of branches. The pilgrim stood in the clearing, heart steady, mind quieter than when they entered. The forest of reflections had given no map, no flame, no treasure. Yet it had given something greater, the strength to listen without fear. And so the pilgrim stepped onward, carrying not just questions, but new clarity. The journey had shifted, and the forest's whispers would remain within forever. The pilgrim left the forest behind, carrying echoes that still lingered in their chest. The path opened wide, leading down to a river that shimmered beneath the sun. Its waters moved slowly, reflecting clouds that drifted lazily across the sky. This was the River of Echoes, known for its strange and quiet mystery. It was said the river revealed only silence to those who dared to cross. No bridge spanned its width, and no boat waited upon its banks. The only passage was through stillness, a journey of listening, not walking. The pilgrim stood at the edge, hearing the soft lap of water against stone. They bent to touch the surface, and ripples spread like circles of thought. In those ripples came faint sounds, not from the world, but from within. They heard laughter of childhood, gentle and distant, like bells in the wind. They heard their own doubts, repeated like echoes bouncing between mountains. The river did not mock. It only mirrored what was carried in the soul. To step forward required stillness, not strength. A heart as calm as the water. The pilgrims sat by the riverbank, closing their eyes, breathing with care. The more they quieted the noise inside, the clearer the water became. Reflections sharpened, stars visible even though the day had not yet ended. They rose slowly, placing one foot into the shallow edge of the river. The water was cool, yet it did not pull nor resist. It simply accepted. With each step, the sound of the world dimmed, replaced by deeper silence. Whispers faded, fears softened, and the river grew calm beneath their weight. The path across revealed itself only when their minds surrendered to quiet. Where once there was only water, now stones glimmered faintly beneath. The pilgrim stepped lightly, guided not by sight but by trust and stillness. Halfway across, the river deepened, and doubt returned like a sudden wind. The surface wavered, reflections blurred, the stones seemed to vanish. A voice inside cried out, "You cannot cross, you will fall. Turn back now." But another voice, softer and steadier, whispered, "Be still, and you will see." The pilgrim closed their eyes once more, breathing as they had in the forest. Slowly the panic eased, the river's surface settled, and the stones reappeared. Step by step, the crossing continued, until the far shore drew near. When at last they reached the other side, the pilgrim stood in silence. No cheer, no cry of triumph, only a deep and lasting calm. They looked back at the river, its surface smooth, its echoes now at rest. It had not been a trial of strength, but of listening and surrender. The river of echoes had taught them that silence is not empty. It is a guide, a bridge, a lantern that reveals paths unseen by noise. The pilgrim bowed in gratitude, carrying the lesson like a flame within. Ahead lay new mysteries, but their heart beat now with steadier light. The pilgrim walked onward, leaving the river behind, carrying silence like a lantern in the heart. The road turned rugged, leading toward a vast mountain rising against the horizon. Its peak was hidden in drifting clouds, white and slow like wandering spirits. Locals had called it the Mountain of Questions, a place feared and revered alike. It was said the winds there carried voices of doubts and restless inquiries. Every traveler who climbed it heard their own questions louder than ever before. The pilgrim stepped onto its lower slopes, stones crunching beneath careful feet. The air grew thinner, carrying a hum that was not wind, but thought itself. Soon whispers surrounded them, though no one walked the mountain path nearby. "Why do you walk so far when comfort was yours at home?" a voice asked. Another followed, sharp and pressing. "What if the flame is nothing but legend?" Each question seemed to echo in the rocks, circling the pilgrim like unseen shadows. But they remembered the stillness of the river and the reflections of the forest. They let the questions come, not resisting, not fleeing, only listening. The higher they climbed, the louder the voices became, filling the air with unrest. Some questions pierced like arrows. "Are you enough? Will you fail?" Others were tender, curious. "What if the flame changes nothing at all?" The pilgrim's chest tightened, yet they kept moving, breath steady, eyes forward. By midday, they reached a ridge where the wind roared like a living beast. The voices tangled with the wind, carrying countless doubts from countless souls. It was no longer their own questions, but humanity's, woven into the storm. Why do we suffer? Why do we fear? Why do we seek what we cannot hold? The pilgrim knelt, pressing a hand against the earth, grounding themselves in silence. No answer rose from the mountain, only the endless choir of questions. But in that moment, the pilgrim understood. They were not here for answers. They were here to learn patience, to carry the unknown without breaking. The voices did not stop, but their weight grew lighter as acceptance bloomed. Like clouds drifting, doubts passed, and the path ahead revealed itself again. By evening, they stood near the summit, where the sky turned to fire with dusk. The air was clear, the horizon wide, and the mountain seemed softer in its vastness. The pilgrim breathed deeply, feeling not victorious, but humbled by the journey. The mountain of questions had offered no certainty, no final truth. Instead, it had shown that questions were companions, not enemies, on the path. They descended slowly, the night gathering stars above the silent peak. Each step downward carried new strength, the calm of one who accepts mystery. The pilgrim smiled faintly, realizing the journey was no longer about finding alone. It was about listening, carrying, and walking forward even without clear answers. And so they left the mountain, hearts steady, carrying questions like gentle friends. The night was deep when the pilgrim descended the mountain, the stars bright above their weary steps. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth, calming the weight of the long climb. They walked until the road curved into a valley bathed in silver light from the moon. There, among quiet stones and tall grass, the sound of wings stirred the silence. An owl appeared, gliding effortlessly, its feathers touched with the glow of starlight. It circled once above the pilgrim, then landed on a branch of an olive tree. The eyes of the owl shone faintly, as though holding embers of a hidden flame. The pilgrim felt no fear, only reverence, as if a long-awaited guide had arrived. For a moment, the world fell silent, as if listening for something sacred. The owl tilted its head, observing with patience older than time itself. The pilgrim bowed slightly, whispering thanks, though no words had been spoken aloud. The owl blinked slowly, a gesture calm, deliberate, as though acknowledging the pilgrim's path. Its wings shifted, and with one beat, it turned toward the shadows of the valley. The pilgrim understood. It was not a chance meeting, but an invitation to follow. They walked where the owl led, the night glowing softly with silver and stillness. Each step felt lighter, guided not by choice, but by trust in the unseen. The owl glided ahead, pausing now and then, waiting until the pilgrim drew near. Its presence carried neither command nor urgency, only a quiet companionship. At times, the owl's eyes caught the moonlight, glimmering like lanterns in the dark. The path twisted through groves, over stones, and along streams that whispered softly. The pilgrim felt as though they walked within a dream, timeless and serene. Every sound of the night, the wind, the crickets, the rustling leaves, seemed clearer now. It was as though the owl had opened a deeper way of listening. At last, the path ended in a clearing, where silence grew even more profound. The owl perched on a stone, its gaze fixed on the pilgrim's steady eyes. For a long moment, nothing moved, nothing spoke, yet everything was understood. The flame was near, not to be touched, not to be owned, but to be witnessed. The owl's wings spread wide, lifting once more into the night sky above. It did not leave in haste, but in grace, as if promising to return. The pilgrim stood alone in the clearing, yet they did not feel alone. They felt watched over, accompanied, guided by something vast and unseen. The air itself seemed warmer, alive, as though carrying a hidden glow. The first true sign of the eternal owl flame had been revealed tonight. And though no fire yet burned before their eyes, the pilgrim felt it within. They closed their eyes, breathing deeply, carrying the owl's silent wisdom in their heart. The journey had shifted again, and the guardian's presence was now forever part of it. Dawn rose gently over the valley, painting the horizon with soft strokes of gold and rose. The pilgrim awoke refreshed, though their dreams lingered like mist upon the mind. In those dreams, the owl's eyes glowed steadily, a flame without heat or smoke. It had not spoken, yet its silence had carried meaning deeper than words. The pilgrim stood, gathering strength, and followed the path beyond the clearing. The air grew warmer as the morning light filtered through olive groves and vines. Ahead lay a village, quiet and humble, cradled by hills and ancient stone walls. The sound of bells drifted faintly, not of alarm, but of rhythm, marking the day's breath. The villagers watched with calm curiosity as the stranger entered their winding streets. Eyes were kind, smiles soft, though they spoke no words at first meeting. The pilgrim felt no suspicion, only welcome, as if the village itself had been waiting. Children played by the fountain, their laughter carrying like silver threads in the air. The water sparkled, flowing from a carved owl that crowned the ancient stone. The pilgrim paused, recognizing the symbol, heart stirring with sudden reverence. An elder approached, walking slowly, staff tapping against the cobblestone ground. Her eyes held the same patient glow the owl had carried in the night. Without asking, she spoke gently. "You have seen the guardian, haven't you?" The pilgrim nodded silently, unsure how words could shape the weight of truth. The elder smiled faintly, as though this was the answer she already knew. She gestured for the pilgrim to follow, leading to a small hall of carved wood. Inside, lanterns burned with steady light, casting shadows that danced like wings. On the walls were etched countless owls, each carrying flames in their eyes. The elder spoke softly. "The flame is not kept nor owned, but remembered. It reveals itself to those who walk with patience, trust, and silence." The pilgrim listened, heart steady, as if hearing echoes of the river once again. The elder's voice deepened, carrying weight of countless generations past. "The guardian comes when the journey is true, and the seeker is ready to bear it. The flame will not answer your questions, but it will change how you carry them." The hall grew quiet, only the flicker of lantern light whispering in the stillness. The pilgrim bowed, gratitude flowing like water, though no words were spoken. The elder placed her hand lightly on their shoulder, a touch warm and grounding. She whispered, "Do not chase the flame. Let it find you as you walk." The pilgrim left the hall with calm steps, the village breathing peacefully around them. Children's laughter returned, and the fountain's waters sang of simple life enduring. Yet deep inside, the flame glimmered brighter, no longer distant, but near within. The journey was no longer just a search. It had become a way of being. The pilgrim left the village at dawn, carrying blessings that lingered like warmth in the chest. The path led upward once more, winding into hills where the olive trees grew sparse. Birdsong filled the morning air, bright and unbroken, like threads of light weaving the sky. The pilgrim walked slowly, savoring each sound, each breeze, as if nothing was ordinary. For the elder's words still echoed, "Do not chase the flame. Let it find you as you walk." Every step felt less like pursuit and more like invitation, a readiness to witness. By midday, the road narrowed into stone steps carved into the side of a ridge. The climb was steep, the sun sharp, yet the pilgrim's spirit remained steady and calm. At the top, a wide plateau opened, where ruins of an old temple stood. Columns broken, stones scattered, vines draping over walls like silent guardians of time. The pilgrim paused at the entrance, bowing gently, sensing the weight of ancient prayers. Though roofless, the temple still breathed with reverence, filled with whispers of devotion. In the center lay an altar, cracked but still firm, bathed in a shaft of light. Upon it rested nothing visible, yet the air shimmered faintly as though alive. The pilgrim approached, footsteps soft, careful, as if stepping into sacred memory. The silence deepened, yet it was not empty. It was full, layered, resonant. For a moment, the pilgrim felt they were no longer alone in the temple. Shadows shifted on the stone, forming shapes of wings that did not belong to birds. An owl's call rang out, distant yet clear, threading through the air like music. The pilgrim knelt before the altar, bowing head low, surrendering fully to the stillness. They closed their eyes, and in the dark within, light began to flicker. Not fire of wood or oil, but a flame of knowing, subtle and unbound. It warmed not the hands, but the heart, not the skin, but the soul. The pilgrim breathed deeply, letting the flame burn within, without clinging to it. Questions stirred, but no answers came, only the strength to carry them with grace. The temple seemed to shift, as if walls and sky leaned closer, listening intently. Whispers filled the air, not words, but tones. Vibrations older than language itself. The pilgrim did not try to interpret, only received, letting sound become silence again. When they opened their eyes, the shimmer above the altar was gone. Yet within, the flame remained, gentle and steadfast, a light no shadow could touch. The pilgrim rose, bowing once more, gratitude pouring silently into the ancient stones. The ruins did not speak, but they seemed to smile, holding memory of countless seekers. As the pilgrim left the plateau, the wind stirred softly, carrying feathers in its dance. An owl soared high above, its wings wide, guiding the path with silent grace. The journey moved forward, no longer a search, but a continual unfolding of light. The road beyond the temple curved downward into valleys where fields opened wide and golden. The pilgrim walked slowly, carrying the unseen flame like a secret woven into the breath. The world seemed gentler now, each sound clearer, each color more alive, as if newly born. Birds sang at the edge of streams, and the wind moved softly through tall grasses. The pilgrim felt no rush, for every step was already part of the destination. By afternoon, they reached a meadow where shepherds tended flocks with quiet care. The villagers greeted kindly, offering bread and cool water from clay jars. The pilgrim accepted with gratitude, bowing, feeling the flame within glow warmly. The shepherds spoke of stories passed down, tales of an owl carrying fire in its eyes. They called it not legend, but memory, something seen long ago in nights of silence. The pilgrim listened, knowing the guardian had been guiding many, not just one. When evening came, the villagers lit small lanterns across the meadow's edge. The lights flickered gently, as though echoing stars fallen upon the earth. Children ran among them, laughter carrying like bells through the twilight. The pilgrim sat quietly, watching, feeling joy ripple like water through the heart. It was not the eternal flame itself, yet it carried the same essence. The light reminded them that the flame was not only in temples or dreams. It was in kindness, in community, in the simple gift of shared bread. The owl had shown its path, but people had always carried sparks unknowingly. The pilgrim closed their eyes, listening, and the meadow hummed like a quiet hymn. When night deepened, an owl called from the woods, low and steady. The pilgrim looked up, and there it was, perched high upon an oak. Its eyes glimmered faintly, not fierce but soft, like embers glowing in still air. The villagers bowed their heads, some whispering prayers as if to an old friend. The owl spread its wings, gliding silently over the meadow lanterns. Its shadow did not dim the lights. Instead, the lanterns shone brighter in its passing. The pilgrim felt the flame stir within, as if answering the guardian's presence. For a moment, meadow, stars, and lanterns all seemed woven into one vast light. The owl vanished into the darkness, yet its call lingered like a thread of song. The villagers returned to their homes, leaving lanterns burning softly through the night. The pilgrim remained, sitting among the glowing lights, heart full but still seeking. The flame was close, closer than ever, yet not to be grasped or claimed. It was a truth unfolding, gentle and infinite, like night stretching toward dawn. The pilgrim breathed deeply, letting the meadow's quiet become part of their silence. And in that silence, they knew the final steps of the journey were waiting ahead. The pilgrim rose before dawn, the meadow still glowing faintly with the lanterns of the night. The stars were fading, giving way to the first pale light of the coming day. They felt the flame within, steady and present, guiding each breath like a gentle tide. The owl's call still echoed in memory, urging them toward the last horizon. The path ahead was narrow, weaving through hills that slowly gave way to cliffs. Each step felt both heavy and light, as though the end was near yet endless. The pilgrim did not seek signs now, for the journey itself had become the answer. Still, silence carried a hum, a presence that walked unseen at their side. By mid-morning, they reached a height where land and sky stretched boundless. The sea shimmered below, vast and eternal, reflecting the sun's awakening fire. The pilgrim stood in awe, breath caught, for here the world itself was aflame. The horizon glowed, waves catching light as if each carried its own ember. The owl appeared once more, rising from the cliffs, wings wide against the dawn. Its eyes burned softly, not consuming but eternal, mirrors of the sea and sky. The pilgrim bowed low, heart open, tears rising not of sorrow, but of wonder. They understood at last. The flame was never in one place, never a single fire. It was the silence in the forest, the reflection of the river, the whisper of questions. It was the guidance of the owl, the kindness of strangers, the laughter of children. It was the light in lanterns, the strength in patience, the courage in surrender. The eternal owl flame was not found, but revealed, carried, shared, and lived. The owl circled once, its shadow stretching long across the cliff's edge. Then it soared upward, vanishing into the brilliance of the morning sky. The pilgrim closed their eyes, letting the light wash through every part of being. They felt no end, only continuation, as though the path was infinite and whole. The flame was not theirs to keep, but theirs to embody in each step forward. They whispered thanks, not to a god, not to a guardian, but to the journey itself. The sea roared gently below, waves rising and falling like a breath eternal. The sun climbed higher, filling the cliffs with warmth, as though blessing the seeker. The pilgrim turned from the edge, walking not toward an ending, but a beginning. Every place now would be sacred, every moment now carrying the glow of the flame. They would return, not with treasure, but with presence, patience, and quiet light. For the journey had not been about finding, but about becoming. And so they walked, the horizon endless, the eternal owl flame alive within. The journey had ended, but endings were never truly final, only quiet doors opening elsewhere. The pilgrim returned to the village, where children played and lanterns glowed in evening air. They carried no relic, no treasure, only the light that moved within their presence. The people noticed, not through words, but through the way calm followed where they walked. A kind of hush rested in their steps, like wind passing gently through olive leaves. When they spoke, even briefly, others listened as if hearing an echo of something ancient. The owl was not seen again, yet its presence lived in silence between heartbeats. The flame was not a fire to worship, but a way of seeing, of being. In laughter, in tears, in patience, in courage, it revealed itself without demand. The pilgrim knew that carrying the flame meant sharing it in quiet, simple acts. A hand held in comfort, a smile given without reason, a pause before judgment. The village thrived, not through miracle, but through the steady weaving of kindness. Each evening, the pilgrim sat beneath the same tree, watching stars gather like seeds. They no longer sought the owl, for its gift had already been entrusted within. One night, a child asked what lay beyond the hills where dawn was born. The pilgrim answered softly, "Light, always light, though each will find it in their way." The child smiled, running off, carrying that answer like a lantern in small hands. Seasons passed, and the pilgrim grew older. Yet the flame never dimmed or faltered. It did not burn with heat, but glowed with the rhythm of breath and time. And those who came after spoke not of a legend, but of a presence remembered. The eternal Owl Flame of Athena was not a story bound to one seeker. It lived wherever hearts opened, wherever silence met listening, wherever kindness chose to dwell. On the last morning, as dawn stretched golden across the hills, the pilgrims sat quietly. They closed their eyes, breathing in the vastness of sea, sky, and earth below. There was no farewell, for nothing was ending, only flowing onward, endless as light. The owl's call rose once more, distant yet near, as though sung from within. The pilgrims smiled, the flames shimmering quietly, steady as the horizon's line. And with that breath, they knew. They had become part of the story itself, not its end, not its keeper, but its continuation, alive in every listening ear. The journey would go on, carried by voices, remembered in silence, retold in stars. For the flame was eternal, not bound by time, not claimed by one or few. It was the unseen fire of presence, the guiding call of wisdom, the gift of light. And so the story closes, not with final words, but with a flame still burning. The eternal Owl Flame of Athena, alive in every heart, willing to walk with it.